Hello guys, and welcome back to another stock market update. So on Friday, we came down all the way to the pink line we've been talking about since the start of this drop. Last week, it came down and it almost got to it. Then it came back up, had a little bounce, and on Friday, came all the way down and touched it perfectly. This week, we're going to be on the lookout for a bounce, and it's going to be important to see how big that bounce is. Not only do we want to see how big this bounce is, but we want to see how the tech sector correlates to the bounce. What I'm saying is, if we see a big bounce in the S&P, which is possible, we could see a bounce all the way up to 35.28. If we see that big of a bounce, I want to see if the NASDAQ, if the tech sector gets a big bounce with it. So pretty much what I'm expecting to happen is some kind of sideways action. We could get a big bounce. We could get a little bounce. We want to see how much the NASDAQ follows that. What I'm kind of thinking happens is we see a bigger bounce in the S&P, but the NASDAQ doesn't follow it completely. The S&P gets a big bounce, NASDAQ gets a smaller bounce, and then once the S&P hits resistance, the NASDAQ falls through this low and comes a bit lower. The reason I feel like the NASDAQ, the tech sector, can come lower is because I look at some individual names like Apple and Facebook, which made massive gap ups on earnings in July. And I feel like those stocks want to come and close those gaps. They've already fallen so far. Like, look at Apple. It's already fallen this far. Why not come and take out this gap down here? With that said, I think if Apple gets to $96, it is a screaming buy. Same with Facebook. Facebook has come all the way down here. I think Facebook will at least partially close this gap and get to the 382 retracement. It may fall further and completely close this gap, but once Facebook gets below 240, that is also going to be a screaming buy for me. In this video today, we're going to talk more about individual stocks than I have in the past couple of weeks, because I feel like the overall market is going to be range bound for a little bit. And typically when the market is range bound, meaning it trades sideways, individual stocks tend to kind of do their own thing and not be so correlated to the overall market. So our targets on Apple, we want to close the gap. Same with Facebook, we want to close the gap. Also, here is a trade I took already, is Lululemon. Lululemon's kind of led the way, and it had a massive pullback. This is the biggest pullback in Lululemon I've seen besides this February-March drop. But Lululemon's already come down and it's closed this gap here. It's pulled back to the 382. It's in a weekly demand zone. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on Lulu, and we will see if Lulu gets a bounce. My expectation on Lulu is we get a bigger bounce. And then if the whole market pulls back for a double dip, Lulu won't pull back as much as the rest of the market. And then when things are ready to trend higher again, Lulu will go back and attack the all-time high. So I am in Lulu already as we speak. We'll see how that plays out. My stop, I went ahead and set my stop below this wick right here. So if Lulu breaks 290, I'm out. I already talked about Facebook. Facebook is one I'm watching big time because I want to see this gap close and I want to get in Facebook. And then Visa, which I've talked about before, is holding up really well in comparison to the rest of the market. If you compare the S&P chart to Visa, the S&P and Visa pretty much did the same thing here, same thing. But on this last bounce and decline, the S&P broke these lows back here. Visa's held them. So Visa's in pretty good shape to potentially go higher and get up to this all-time high sooner than most stocks, and definitely sooner than the S&P overall. Now for the S&P overall, my support and resistance areas that I'm watching, the only support I'm watching right now is this low of 3280. I've talked about this low 3280, this level right here, for several weeks, and we finally hit it. So I want to see that level hold. If that level holds and we go higher, I want to first see if we can break this high from here. I want to see if we can break 3420. If we can break 3420, then I think we can get all the way up to 3500. And at 3500, if we get to 3500 quickly, expect a pullback before we can go higher. So that's the sideways action I'm expecting. Up to here, come back down, and then maybe go higher. If we do break this low, the next support I'm seeing is 3216, and then it gets a little bleak below that. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome week trading. Be patient, make great decisions, and don't get greedy. Have a great week trading. Bye.